It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. You can email me as well at randykabc@gmail.com. That's randykabc@gmail.com. Well, today is a very celebratory day in the southwest of the country, especially if you happen to live in Southern California or Las Vegas, because it was the groundbreaking ceremony for the high-speed train that's going to go all the way from Vegas to Rancho Cucamonga. There were dignitaries. There was Pete Buttigieg. There was the CEO of Brightline, the private company that got a $3 billion infusion from the infrastructure bill to fast-track this train, which means this train will start and finish before we even get a tiny little part of the high-speed rail that's been being built in California since 2009. I know, Gavin, it's real strange, but there was a lot of excitement today. There was a lot of sound. Let's get right into the big groundbreaking ceremony, including a flashy, fancy promotional video from the Brightline people. Gotta have that hard rock music. This is gonna be not your mama's train.
Introducing Brightline West, America's first true high-speed train that's ushering in a new era of modern travel. From the lights of Las Vegas to the beaches of Southern California.
Notice they're saying Southern California, because this thing doesn't actually go all the way to Los Angeles. It goes to Rancho Cucamonga, which is great for anyone living in the Inland Empire. But in order to actually get to Los Angeles, Orange County, you're going to have to get on quite a few more slower trains.
To the beaches of Southern California. Brightline West will connect two of the world's most iconic destinations in just 2 hours.
Well, it will connect Las Vegas to the Inland Empire. You'll still have to go quite a ways to get to the beach.
By soaring at 200 miles per hour, Brightline Zero Emission all-electric trains will be the greenest form of transportation in the world and will be made right here in the USA with American labor.
Yeah, take that, laborer. We got this.
From beautiful stations with bright lounges and premium amenities to an exceptional onboard experience with all the extras. Brightline West.
Will there be little video poker machines at your seats that activate as soon as you get to state line? That's what I want to know, because you still got quite a few miles in between Primm and Las Vegas proper. Can you gamble as soon as you hit Primm? Heck, you could have the video poker machine sponsored by Terribles.
Brightline West will offer a convenient and comfortable way to work, relax, and play. Welcome to the ride reimagined. Welcome to Brightline West.
Woo! Yes, give it up. You can do better than that.
Oh, I love the MCs at events like this. It's always about give it up, give it up, give it up. Come on, give me some applause.
Woo! Yes, give it up. You can do better than that. Absolutely. I love the enthusiasm.
I told you, when people don't know what to say, they say...
Absolutely, absolutely.
That is the thing that people do, and this MC is no exception.
Absolutely.
Now, the big headliner for this event happened to be Mayor Pete Buttigieg, the former presidential candidate, former mayor of South Bend, Indiana, current Secretary of Transportation. He was there to bring in the bucks and to bring in the yucks.
I want to recognize the leadership of President Biden and the partnership of leaders in the White House like Mayor Benjamin. Always best, I think, to put a mayor in charge of important things. And of course, we wouldn't be here.
Oh, boy. Well, he's a dad now, so I guess it's okay if he's telling dad jokes. But Mayor Pete had a very interesting reaction to the fact that we're finally building one of these trains in America, something that other developed countries did quite a while ago.
This is a very good day for the United States of America, and I've imagined this day for a long time, and so many Americans, I think, especially have thought about this traveling abroad. Last year I was in Japan for a meeting of the G7 transportation ministers, and we rode their famous Shinkansen bullet train to the small city hosting our meeting. I would never have noticed it, but they were extremely concerned because for extraordinary and rare reasons, the train was approximately 1 minute off schedule.
Once again, those Japanese showing us that they know how to do things.
So for somebody who loves trains, sitting in that train was a deeply impressive experience. In fact, briefly sitting up front in the operator's cabin was what I can only describe as a spiritual experience.
Mayor Pete, did you always want to be a train conductor? No wonder he gets along so well with Grampy Joe. They both love the trains. Now, of course, it's time for more jokes from Pete Buttigieg.
To get to this point, it took a president who showed perhaps the greatest appreciation for railroads of any president since Lincoln. A few weeks ago, a journalist asked me, why can't we have high-speed rail? We want high-speed rail. I said, you sound like my boss.
Oh, boy. See, I thought he was going to go with a different version of this joke.
To get to this point, it took a president who showed perhaps the greatest appreciation for railroads of any president since Lincoln.
And he's older than Lincoln, too. No, I guess he wasn't going to do that. But he also had to reiterate because people in Southern California have been hearing about the idea of this train for years and years and years and years and years. That it's actually happening.
But my real answer was we can if we choose to, and now America has decided to. So on behalf of the Biden administration, it is my great.
Did you call it the Biden administration?
Of the Biden administration, it is on behalf of the.
He's got trains on the brain.
On behalf of the Biden administration, it is my great honor to help break ground on what will be the first high-speed rail in American history. It's really happening this time.
Now, what I always find hilarious about this is, while this is the first train that will be completed, hopefully, it's not the first breaking ground of a high-speed rail, because we broke ground on one in 2010 that was supposed to be done in 2020, that then got scaled down from a San Francisco, LA project to a Bakersfield to Merced project that won't be done until 2033. A little embarrassing for the state of California. But you know what? This is a celebratory day, and this is huge for the kind of people that go to Vegas on the weekends, for the kind of people like the truck drivers that have to go through the 15. This is huge.
So I want to share just a little more about why this matters and why we chose this project for $3 billion in direct funding, plus the financing, out of what was a very competitive process. This train will move people at 186 miles an hour between Southern California and Las Vegas in just over 2 hours, which is about half the time that it can sometimes take to drive on that road.
Oh, it could take a lot longer. I mean, yes, if there's no traffic, you can get from LA to Vegas in about 4 hours. Leaving on a Friday morning at 7 a.m. works really well for that. But I'm sure we have all been stuck in gridlock hell traffic, which is always worse coming home because you're broke now. And I think the longest it's ever taken me is 7 hours to get from Vegas back to Los Angeles. 4 of those hours were just getting from Vegas to State Line.
Candidly, I have never heard a stretch of interstate described as a parking lot more often than the I-15 corridor if you're on it at the wrong time. An estimated 10 million people will one day ride this line yearly, sitting comfortably on a new train, looking out the window at the Angeles National Forest, the Mojave National Preserve.
I mean, there's not that many landmarks on the corridor between LA and Vegas. Hey, look to your left. You're going to see the world's largest thermometer in Baker. And that's about it. It's a lot of desert out there. But hey, even if you don't go to Vegas, even if you don't want to get on the train, this is going to be great for everybody.
When this line opens, and Brightline West is working aggressively to meet their ambitious 2028 target, there will be a million fewer cars stuck in traffic. So even if you don't use it, you'll be benefiting from the people who do. And because the 15 is such an important freight route, that reduced congestion will have a material benefit to America's supply chains. Everyone who lives near the 15...
Less traffic means less jackknife big rigs blocking the 15.
Everyone who lives near the 15 will breathe less pollution into their lungs, and everyone across the country will live in a climate with 800 million fewer pounds of carbon pollution annually. Which is a pretty good thing to note this Earth Day.
Someone wooed that. Woo! It's Earth Day. And Mayor Pete says there is going to be so much demand after the first train ride, every single part of the country is going to want their own train.
Something close to my heart as a mayor, a lot of towns between here and Southern California are going to see new economic opportunity as a result of this train line, too.
I mean, very exciting for the people that live in and near Rancho Cucamonga, your Fontana people. You're going to love this thing. It's going to be so close. It's going to be so easy. And maybe it will. You'll see some massive revitalization to Barstow and to Baker. And they'll have more than just the Great Greek. They'll have more than just a Taco Bell. There's going to be like an actual restaurant in there.
More than that, today answers the question that has been asked too often lately, the question of whether America can still build massive, forward-looking engineering marvels that make people's lives better for generations. It's one of the very best examples of America's infrastructure comeback. And this is just the start. I am firmly convinced that once the first customer buys that first ticket to ride true high-speed rail on American soil, there will be no going back. People will demand and expect this everywhere, and leaders will respond, and more high-speed rail lines are coming.
How many of these things are going to get built before the California one even gets done?
Or to put it another way, in this particular case, what happens in Vegas should absolutely not be confined to Las Vegas.
People weren't sure if they needed to applaud or laugh at that dad joke, but hey, it's a very exciting day. The groundbreaking is here. You had so many local news crews out in Vegas to look at this groundbreaking because this is huge for Southern California, huge for people that like to go to Vegas. And in fact, KCAL caught up with the CEO of Brightline.
A high-speed train from Southern California to Las Vegas is actually breaking ground today.
It's happening. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg will take part in the ceremony, kicking off construction on Brightline West. KCAL News reporter Rick Montanez is live in Las Vegas.
Can we come up with a more fun name for the train to Vegas than that? Gamblers Express.
On Brightline West, KCAL News reporter Rick Montanez is live in Las Vegas with a preview.
Will you be able to get the 6-foot-tall daiquiri on the train to Vegas? Because nothing feels like Vegas than having a lanyard holding up your gigantic beverage.
On Brightline West, KCAL News reporter Rick Montanez is live in Las Vegas with a preview for us this morning. A lot of people excited about this, Rick.
Yeah, this is really a first of its kind train here in the country, which is a huge deal for Las Vegas, a huge deal for Southern California.
Well, it's a huge deal for Las Vegas getting people from the Inland Empire. And people that will, I guess, drive or take the train to get to Rancho to get on the big old train. But if you're already in the car, maybe you just go the whole way, or I don't know, Southwest. But how many people from Vegas are itching to go to Barstow?
And more specifically, the Inland Empire, where the route will go from Las Vegas to Rancho Cucamonga, but it will get people to downtown LA, I can tell you that.
It's going to be huge for the Apple Valley.
We're at the groundbreaking site here just south of the Las Vegas Strip, where they will be holding the official ceremonies here this morning. And it's, of course, a big deal with dignitaries from the federal, state, and local governments here. We want to talk with Brightline's CEO, Mike Reininger. And good morning to you, Mike. This is a big day for the company, but also for passengers. It'll be kind of a challenge to get people out of their cars, though, we understand, right?
What we've learned in Florida, where we built the first high-speed passenger system in America by a private company in over a century, is we get you to try it, you're going to love it, and you're going to come back.
You're going to love it. You're never going to go back. It's going to be train, train, train all the way. You're going to feel like you're in Europe or Japan.
And that's what we're hoping will happen here between Nevada and Southern California. When can people expect to be able to ride the train?
4 short years. We're putting the shovels in the ground today at our groundbreaking, actually driving the first spikes. And then within 4 years, we'll have trains up and running and going back and forth every hour.
That is super ambitious. And I sure hope they get to that deadline because that would be really cool. But let's not forget, the California High-Speed Rail was supposed to be done in 2020. Now, it's a much bigger rail, and that's also all California money, which is a mess. But we hope this thing does get done in 4 years. That would be a great accomplishment.
What is it that will get passengers to essentially fall in love with riding the train? We know that it's expected to be 2 hours, 40 minutes between Los Angeles and Las Vegas, half the drive time. But what about being on the train?
Well, you still got to get to Rancho.
The experience for us really starts when we begin communicating with you with a technology platform. We'll have an app, make it super easy for you to be able to communicate with us, book your ticket. Then you will come to our fantastic, purpose-built, brand new stations. You'll hook onto Wi-Fi. You'll get onto our amazing trains. And in about 2 hours from Rancho Cucamonga to here on the Las Vegas Strip, you'll be able to be entertained. You'll be able to relax. You'll be able to take your time to do whatever you want to do with your time in a very clean, very comfortable.
Will there be a craps table? Come on. There's got to be a gambling car.
In a very clean, very comfortable, easier way to get there. Takes the stress out of the travel.
Right, and all about saving time. Mike, we appreciate your time this morning. Thank you so much. Good luck with the event today. And, one thing...
Well, you notice there was one question that the CEO of Brightline wasn't asked. And in fact, I went through, did so many interviews today because it's a huge thing. So they wanted all the business channels because they want to get some investment. And they talked to Bloomberg and they talked to CNBC and they talked to a bunch of national news outlets. And this all sounds really great. I'm pretty excited about this. But there's one thing that through the press conference with Pete Buttigieg we went through wasn't really covered. The big promotional video wasn't covered. And this interview and several other interviews wasn't covered. And it's a question that seems to be something that everyone wants to avoid talking about ever since an interview between the CEO of Brightline and the LA Times about a month ago. What am I talking about? Well, it's time for the other shoe to drop. This is not a 100% positive story. Here is a report from KSNV NBC3 in Vegas.
People who live here in Las Vegas and over in Southern California may be excited to ride the Brightline high-speed train once it's finished, but we've been checking on the expected price, and it's not as cheap as you might think. The founder of Brightline, Wes Edens, telling the Los Angeles Times that a round trip between Las Vegas and Rancho Cucamonga, which is as far as it's going to go, would cost as much as $400.
$400? $400?
Would cost as much as $400.
Per person?
And you're probably thinking...
And that's what? For steerage? That's the regular rail car, not the first class car, which I imagine has the craps in the roulette?
And you're probably thinking, well, I can fly there for less than that. He adds that they're still testing out the prices, so nothing's official, but the cost could change depending on when you book.
So there is the main issue with at least the idea of this high-speed train that's going to go from Rancho Cucamonga to Las Vegas. I love the concept. It's even going to look really cool. They're going to build it right down the middle of the 15, which is going to be a construction nightmare for anybody using the 15 over the next 4 years. But how many people are actually going to use this if it costs possibly almost double what it costs to fly there and triple what it costs to drive there?
Would cost as much as $400. And you're
$400. Well, I feel like since we're still in the early planning phases, maybe we can get this company, Brightline, to realize they're going to have to readjust their modeling. And I don't know, maybe we need to get some ticket subsidies from Vegas because they're bringing us in to lose all our money in Vegas. They should be the ones paying for these tickets. But here's the thing. I don't know how many people are going to spend $400 to get on this train. But maybe I'm wrong. You've heard the presentation. You have heard all the great things that this is going to do for our economy, for jobs, for the environment, for transportation, for convenience. But now you've also heard the potential price. So my question to you at 800-222-KABC is this. Would you pay $400 a ticket to take the train to Vegas? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Would you pay $400 a ticket to train it up to Vegas on this high-speed rail? That is the number they're floating out there. $400 a ticket. 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Would you pay $400 to train it up to Vegas? 800-222-KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It's It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. 1-800-222-5222. Today was the groundbreaking ceremony from the bullet train that goes from Rancho Cucamonga to Las Vegas. It'll get you in 2 hours. You still have to get to Rancho Cucamonga. Hey, if you're in the IE, this is great. However, one aspect of today's story that's not being widely reported is what the CEO told the LA Times last month, that the ticket price to get on the bullet train to Vegas would be $400 per person round trip. So we're doing a quick poll to see if this makes sense to you. Would you pay $400 to get on the bullet train to Vegas? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Your calls next on the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most, taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC and your emails at randykabc@gmail.com. Today was the big groundbreaking ceremony for Brightline West, the train that's going to high speed take you from Rancho Cucamonga to Las Vegas in about 2 hours. It's supposed to open in 2028. There was a whole lot of fanfare today, but the one thing that's not being talked about is what the CEO of Brightline told the LA Times a month ago, that they are estimating when this train is completed, the cost of a ticket to get you from Rancho Cucamonga to Vegas and back will be $400 a person. And while the high-speed rail sounds fun and all the amenities, and we don't even know if you could gamble on the train when you hit state line, I don't know how many people are willing to pay $400 per person to get on this train, especially if you live in LA and you still need to drive an hour to get to the Cucamongas. So I'm asking you at 800-222-KABC, simple question. Would you pay $400 to get on the bullet train to Vegas? Let's go to Phil and Carson. Phil, hello.
Yeah, I was in Vegas about 3 months ago. Took Spirit, 46 minutes in the air, $38. Granted, there's no amenities, but for 48 minutes, what do you care?
Well, exactly. For a flight that's that short that you probably don't even need to have baggage with you, it might be the one time Spirit makes sense.
Yeah, that's $400. What are you going to do for $400? What? Who are they going to give you for $400?
It seems just a tad overpriced. Phil, thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. I was looking on the website. I've never actually been on Spirit's website, but yes. They have a lot of tickets that are one way to Vegas for $25, like tickets you can go to tomorrow. Even Southwest, which I use a lot because I go to Dallas and Santa Fe, and that's where Southwest flies. LAX to Vegas, I could book a flight tomorrow. So not even any wait for $106 that way. So round trip, we're looking at half the price. Would you pay $400 to get on the bullet train from Rancho Cucamonga to Vegas? 800-222-KABC. Let's go to Linda in Torrance. Linda, hello.
So back to like the last caller, in February, I paid $59 for Southwest, 2 ways, and my room was $59. So I spent like $300 for 2 days in Vegas with my room. So no, I wouldn't pay $400 if LA County Board of Supervisors put an ambassador on it. I wouldn't pay $400 if it was free for Earth Day. I wouldn't pay $400 if there was a poop map from San Francisco telling me where not to sit. I wouldn't do it. No way, no how.
It's not happening. Thank you so much for the call, Linda. Appreciate it. Wow. She had all the references. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. Would you pay $400 to get on this bullet train? Let's go to Marvin in L.A. Marvin, hello.
Yes, hello. No, I would not pay $400. I wouldn't even pay $100. And the reason is I think that the thing, everything in Las Vegas is way overpriced. The hotel rooms, the entertainers that they have there, like the popular singers and rock bands, way overcharged for the concerts. You know, you could pay $200 for a concert there. And then, of course, you could just go there and lose a lot of money gambling. If I was going to gamble, I'd prefer to go to the Indian casinos here in California because everything is a lot cheaper, including the price of seeing your popular singers and rock bands. It's about one-third the cost. And I don't even think the federal government should subsidize it. I think the state of Nevada and the casino should subsidize it. I don't think the taxpayers here should have to subsidize the Las Vegas casinos.
Well, Marvin, you make a ton of great points. Let's go through all of them. One, you're totally right. There was a lot of public support when this was just a private project, but now that it's got this cash infusion, there are some people that are scratching their heads. But even more than that, what you pointed out is so true, and not enough people are talking about it. It used to be all the entertainment aspects, the food, the drinks, the shows. Those were the loss leader to get you to come to Vegas, even the hotels. Those were all so cheap because they knew you'd lose all your money gambling anyway. But it's not the case at all anymore. It is so expensive to go see a show in Vegas. Dinner is expensive, and the hotels went through the roof. You're totally right about that.
Yeah, and here in the Los Angeles area, in the Orange County area, you can see your favorite rock bands and singers for a lot cheaper if you buy the tickets ahead of time. And like I said, as far as the gambling is concerned, you could still go to the American Indian casinos and keep all the tax revenue here in California.
Yes, and California would very much appreciate that. Marvin, thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. We get a vote for Morongo. Good times. 800-222-KABC is the telephone number. Let's go to Rick in Pasadena. Rick, hello.
Hey, Randy. Hey, the only way $400 a pop on a train is worth it is if it comes with a happy ending, in a free Bud Light all the way there, right? But
well, the only way that's going to happen, Rick, is if that train doesn't go from Rancho Cucamonga to Vegas, but goes from Rancho Cucamonga to Pahrump and then to Vegas.
Yeah, well, Rancho's got its own share of all-stars out there. Trust me on that one. But maybe I could talk the little lady into joining the 10 Mile High Club, on the way to Vegas there. Or the only way I'm paying $400 for a train ride, that's if it never brings me back to California. Then it might be worth it.
Okay, now, Rick, you bring up some really interesting points here because as anyone who has walked around the casino floor at 5 a.m. on a Monday can attest to, just like people that are on a Thursday night flight from Vegas to Burbank, is the train station going to be full of strippers and prostitutes?
Yeah, that and homeless encampments and needle exchanges, all the amenities that comes along with it.
I love it. Rick, thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. 800-222-KABC is the telephone number. Would you pay $400 to get on this brand new bullet train to Vegas? It opens in 4 years. The CEO told the LA Times that they're looking at $400 a ticket per person when it opens. 800-222-KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. Back to the phones. Would you pay $400 to get on the bullet train to Vegas? Let's go to Roy in West LA. Roy, hello.
Randy, I'd like to paraphrase Norm Macdonald. For $400, I could ride the giant 550-foot Ferris wheel about 15 times, or I could spend $400 on the other big attraction drawing thousands to Vegas, whores.
Now, do you know, this is a Norm Macdonald story that got told to me from Tim Conway many, many, many years ago. But Norm, at one point in his career, was completely broke. He had about $5,000 to his name. So he decided to drive out to Las Vegas. He put $5,000 on one hand of blackjack, and he lost, and he went home.
Oh, I heard the story that he threw $40,000 in the ocean in Jersey because he knew he would just lose it again. I think
That
Artie
sounds
Lang
about right.
said that.
The man was a legend. Roy, thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. Let's go to Billy in Encino. Billy, hello.
Hello, how are you doing?
Doing great.
Yeah, anyhow, I was just going to say, why give Vegas a head start? There's plenty of time for them to vacuum or siphon the money out of your pocket. Why give them a head start by dropping $4 bills on a stupid, bullet train or whatever?
Well, that's the thing. Why aren't the hotels subsidizing 100% of that ticket, making it free? Because they know as soon as they get the suckers into Vegas, they'll be getting way more than $400.
Right. I don't really, like, I guess you and some other callers have been saying, I mean, at least if they had something to offer while you're on the train, I guess that's up for discussion or debate what to offer. But no, yeah, you can drop 4 bills, give them, a head start on, the rest.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Billy, thank you so much for the call. Appreciate it. So I think we've got a consensus from the audience. This will work, not for $400, but if we have a special car that has special services for $1,000 once you hit state line, some people might be in. We'll keep going with your phone calls. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. And boy, do I have a present for you. Thanks so much for listening to this show and calling in and telling all your friends about it. 790 KABC welcomes Pat Benatar and Neil Girardo with Berlin at the LA County Fair May 11th. Don't miss the country's largest county fair. This year's theme is Stars, Stripes, and Fun. Tickets are on sale now at lacountyfair.com. But right now, caller number 9 at 1-888-790-5222 gets a pair of tickets to the show. Tickets furnished by the LA County Fair. Good luck dialing. Let's go back to the phones. David in San Diego. David, hello.
Randy, hi. First time caller, first time listener, first time radio caller. I'm out in San Diego. I'm a gambler, and I'm excited about the train I'm hearing from California to Vegas. And I heard you mention is gambling on the train. Is that what I heard?
Well, that's what I think they should do. I think once you hit state line, there should be video poker machines that activate.
That would be wonderful. I'm willing to pay $400. I'm from New York City. I'm a part-time Californian. The gas here in California is $6-7 a gallon. By Aristotle's math, that's $100 a gallon, $100 a tank full, maybe $400 in gas a month on a person who uses cars here in California. $400 in New York City doesn't buy much also. So I'm willing to spend $400 to gamble, is what I'm trying to say. I'm looking forward to the train.
That is one massive monkey on your back, my friend, but thank you so much for calling in. We really appreciate it. Let's talk soon. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. Let's go to Steve in Orange County. Steve, hello.
Hey, what's going on, Randy? I'm glad you got the show. Spices up my drive on the way home. But, yeah, I think you guys are kind of looking at it the wrong way, man, because he's talking about 2028, right? So we're looking at, if we got this donkey show in the White House continuing to 2028, inflation, I don't know, $400 might be like $100 today.
You know what? That's a very, very, very good point. Or if they're saying 400 now, it can mean 1,400 by 2028. Steve, thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. Let's go to Sean in Corona. Sean, hello.
Hey, Randy. $400. I think you're going to get a lot of takers initially because no one's really been on a train like that. But after the first time, the honeymoon's over, and nobody's going to be going back on that trip again. I can fly for $130 and get there in 45 minutes.
Yeah, it's really hard to beat that for how cheap the airlines are, specifically like Southwest and Spirit, to get from LAX or Burbank or Long Beach or John Wayne or Ontario to Vegas. It's going to be really hard to beat the fact that you're in the air for 45 minutes.
Not to mention, where do I get onto? It starts off at Rancho Cucamonga, I think, and a couple other areas.
Yeah, it starts at Rancho Cucamonga. There will be a stop in Victorville and probably a stop in Barstow.
Right. So your caller in San Diego, he's going to drive all the way up to where? Rancho Cucamonga from San Diego, and then take the train? Versus getting on a plane in San Diego?
He's going to get on the 15 for about an hour and a half, then to get on the train. And as soon as he hits state line, though, he can start gambling. If he drove, he wouldn't be able to start gambling until he got all the way to Vegas, unless he's a prim guy. He might be a prim guy. He might stop at state line.
True, but if he's got that bad of an addiction, he definitely does not need to go to Vegas. And the other main thing is, if the Vegas people thought that they could make a profit off that train coming up, they would have done this a decade ago. They know as well as everybody else, it's a loser deal. And the only people who are going to majorly lose are the taxpayers having to flip the bill to run the damn thing.
Well, there definitely is a lot of pushback at the fact that this was a private project, then got $3 billion of infrastructure money. Sean, thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. And David in San Diego, we love you and enjoy yourself. It's your money. Have a great time. Let's go to Vera in Lawndale. Vera, hello.
Hi. Years ago, I'm an old lady now, but when I was a young, beautiful thing, there was a train that went from L.A. to Vegas, and I met some of the porters on there, and they gambled on the train and drank and wanted pretty girls. This is 1956. I don't know when it ended, but I remember it being offered this opportunity, if you want to call it that. But
Oh, really? You got propositioned on a train, did you? Vera, I'm really upset that this call happened at the end of the show because I feel like if we got this call at the beginning of the show, we would have talked for a whole hour about that story, but it's fascinating. Thanks so much for calling in, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow, 5 to 6, for another News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC.